Yeah, good.
Welcome
Yeah.
back.
We had spoken earlier about the call of duty and being able to rise above the call of duty. We need to understand this in a little more nuanced way so that we can reflect back and say, was I able to bring this into a context in an adequate way or not? One way of looking at it is to ask oneself, did I look at the context and act in a way that was just within the givens and the norms? Right? That's, in a sense, an adequate functional way of dealing with something. Right? In most task situations, there will be a standard operating procedure. There will be precedences that say how one ought to be responding to a situation. When I stay within that and I act adequately, it's a functional way of responding. I'll go back in the evening feeling okay, I did my job. There are times when I will really confront the situation and dig into my resources and bring in my best. And that is a thrilling experience, and one feels heroic. And each of us knows whether we brought in our best in the service of the context, in service of others, or did we use it just in a way to show off. One feels really satisfied and delighted with oneself if one has brought in one's best in the service of other people and in the service of the context. So this is another thing to understand for yourself. And then of course there is the third, where there is a challenge. There are ways in which things ought to be done, but for some reason I'm not able to awaken myself. I feel demotivated, I'm not really up to my best on that day, and I just act in a way that is perfunctory. Yeah, this is a dysfunctional way of acting. Sometimes what happens is that we get so caught with certain types of behavior we are used to, that when that particular demand comes up, we are not able to respond in any way other than our usual conditioned way, and therefore become rigid in a response which is not appropriate for that particular context. That's also dysfunctional. So these are the three nuances that we need to look at and reflect upon when we are acting. So when I do something and I ask myself, in doing what I'm doing, what am I really doing? I can easily look at myself and say, am I responding adequately? Am I responding heroically? Or am I responding in ways that are less than adequate, dysfunctional? Yeah, this is very important for a person to be able to do. This is how we get into a cycle of constant learning, continuous learning. So every time I do something which is heroic, I can sit back and learn from that. Every time I do something that is dysfunctional or rigid, I can learn from that also. Yeah? And that is how one grows consistently. क्या भाई?
Cut.
हाँ बोलो. ठीक है.